it's Mariela Sandoval. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make homemade pasta today. We're going to be using semolina flour, all-purpose flour, 1 egg, and some water.
Alright, so we're going to start off by using half a cup of semolina flour and half a cup of normal all-purpose flour. And this is the semolina I like to use. It's 24 ounces, so you get a lot of it since we're only using half a cup for each batch. So yeah, this is what it's going to look like. I already portioned it, so again, this is half a cup right here. So half a cup of flour, half a cup of semolina flour. And we're just going to put this in our bowl, okay? And I like to just kind of give it a nice mix before we start to incorporate the other ingredients. Just like a light little mix, you know? Okay, so then now we're going to add the egg. We're going to add a whole entire egg, okay? So just give this a mix, okay? I'm going to leave this here. Just grab this right here. So this is what we have right now. I just kind of made a well in the middle because we're going to start adding the water. I have gloves on just because I have nails and it's just more sanitary. So we're going to start with very little water. Again, we're not going to add all of it at once. And you just want to press it together. So you kind of want to like form it into a ball. And then we're going to turn this out into our table right here, or our counter. And we're going to knead it. We want to activate the gluten in the semolina flour and in the normal flour. And that's what's going to give it its chew. So yeah, it's going to take a while, but make sure you don't add too much water. And make sure your dough is not dry at the same time. So it's kind of like you're just taking a guessing game right now. So yeah, we're just adding water as it's needed. You want to make sure you get everything out of the bowl. Well, not out of the bowl, but you know what I mean. You want to get every crumb all put together. So see how it's coming together already? It's forming a nice ball. But we want to make sure Alright guys, so I've been kneading this for about a couple minutes or so, and this is what she looks like. Nice and soft, you touch it, it bounces back. I had to take off my gloves because I was struggling to knead it a bit. To me, I feel like it needs a little more water, but I'm going to knead it like this one more time. So what you do, what I like to do and it works for me, is that I get it like this, lay it flat, bring it over like this, and then pull away with this part of my hand. I feel like that's where the most pressure is at. And you get a better grip on the dough. So I'm just looking at it, seeing what it looks like. I'm just gonna add literally like a droplet of water. So we end up using the half cup of water, and that's fine. I mean, it's not a big deal. So again, just with this part of your hand, bring it together and then pull away from you. This is what works for me. It could be different for you, depending on how big your hand is also. So find the method that works for you, but for sure you want to fold it over itself, because that's what's really going to help form it together. So she's almost ready. And we just want to keep this in like a disc kind of shape. So when we roll it out later, it'll be easier to flatten out. So this, like that. You should make sure you're keeping track of how dry it is or how wet it is, because if you leave it too dry, it's just going to keep cracking on you. So this part, it's fine because I'm just folding it into itself, but I could always fix it. See? Just bring it over, bring it over. But what matters right now is what it looks like right here. See? It's a little bumpy, which is okay. You press it, it springs back up. Okay? So now, this is ready, right? I want to form it into a disc. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it as even as you can. See? She's pretty. So again, we did not use the entire half a cup of water. So we used probably less than that, so a quarter of a cup. So this is what she looks like. Here, I have a couple tablespoons of flour and semolina flour, just in case it was too wet and it was sticking on me, but as you guys can see, it barely stuck on my hand. But we're going to use this later when we start cutting up our pasta into whatever shapes you guys want. I'm just going to be doing a normal kind of noodle. So this is what she looks like. Nice and soft. It's not sticking to my hand. It springs back when you touch it. And we're going to put this in a Ziploc bag.
So I have a little Ziploc baggie right here. You can leave this on your countertop if you're going to use it like right away. But since I still have some spare time, I'm going to throw it in my fridge. So again, this in here. Make sure you take out all the air. And then you're just going to let it rest for as long as you need it to. This is what she looks like. And I'm going to cut it later, but like I said, we have to let it rest. And once we start to use it, I like to cut in half and then roll out each half, so it's not too much dough that we're working with. And then you can see how much you're going to be serving. So if it's half of this dough is good enough, you don't need to do the whole thing and you can save it. It'll be good for a couple, like 3 days at most. But yeah, just put it in your fridge or leave it on your countertop. If you're gonna leave it on your countertop, you can leave it for 30 minutes or so. And with the fridge, you can leave it as long as you need it. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it later. Hi everybody, welcome back. So our dough rested, or our pasta dough rested for about 3 hours or so. Sorry for the glare. I'm like recording at this time and the glare has to be like this. So this is what she looks like in the bag. While rested, it's much more workable. You can stretch it out and it won't spring back as easily. We're gonna need a roller, the flour and the semolina flour mixture, and then just because I'm gonna roll it on my counter, and then because I don't want to scratch my counter, I have cutting board and then my chef's knife. So let's get started.
Okay, so this is the dough out of the bag. It's a little tacky, just because I let it sit out for a bit just so it's not too cold while we're working with it. So you're just gonna get some of your flour and semolina mixture, and you're just gonna start to flatten it out. But first things first, we're gonna cut this in half because I'm probably only gonna use half. If not, I'm gonna use all of it for this video purpose. Oops. For video purposes, I'm only gonna do half, okay? So let me put this over here. And this is half of the mixture. I like to just take my hand. It's not sticking to me, so we don't have to worry about that. With this. And you're just gonna flip it over. Just kind of get it stretched out with your hand. Just flour your surface. And again, you're just trying to stretch it out as much as you can. It's much more easy to work with now that it's rested. So now we're gonna take our rolling pin. And basically, you want to apply pressure towards the middle and outwards. So like if you can imagine, what's it called? The addition symbol. So the plus. So like forwards, backwards, and then to the side. So what I like to do is then I flip it and then go this way. So forwards, backwards, Just applying even pressure all throughout the dough. If it starts to stick a little, add more flour. So you're just going to keep doing this until you want to make it into like a rectangle shape if you can. If not, you can always make it pretty later. But try to get it into a rectangle shape just so it's easier to work with. So I'll come back once I get to that shape.
Hi, so basically I rolled it out, as you can see, as long as I could that fit in my counter space. You want to get it long enough and thin enough that you can barely see your hands through it. It's still flexible when I pull on it, and basically you want to stretch it out. Again, I'm just showing you with my hands that you can barely see them, but that's how thin I had it. And basically I'm going to make a rectangle out of that shape. So I just cut off the ends right here. My scraps are right here. I'm not going to throw those away. So we have this imperfect rectangular shape. Again, it's still stretchy enough that it won't rip on me. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it once like this. Try to make it as even as you can. So see right here, right? We're going to try to fold it one more time. If you can only fold it one more time with it meeting up at the middle, that's fine. So see, you're going to get like a kind of fold going on. You can add flour and stuff to it in the middle. So I just want to show you what it looks like when you fold it over. This could be bigger too. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be this small. Like you can stretch it like to the size of this cutting board. But if not, don't worry. And I would suggest to add flour when you're going to cut this, just so it doesn't stick to itself once you start cutting. Okay. So this method has just worked for me. I mean, if you guys have other methods to make it easier for yourselves, then go, by all means, do it. So we're going to fold it. Again, just trying to make it as even as you can. And then we're going to fold this one more time that it meets in the middle. Okay. You want that middle section to be visible. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and flour a little more on this top of my surface. Right now that I start to cut it, it won't stick to itself. Cut off the ugly ends. And this is what you have, right? You have little sections of pasta that hopefully did not stick to each other. And this is what we have. They're a little small, but it's okay because, I mean, again, it depends on how long you make it and how many folds you were able to get in. So this is a little small for my liking, but it's fine. Again, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it as long as they're even, okay? So you don't want to make these short and then the next section or the next half of pasta, you make them longer because it's going to vary in cooking time. But this is all it is, right? So these are going to cook pretty quickly because they are smaller. So this is what you have. And look at the thickness. It's not too thick. It's not too thin. And basically you're just going to take these apart like this. And make sure you coat them in this. You want them to be fairly dry, so when you start cooking them, they're not at this texture that they're at right now. They're still pretty flexible. I can maneuver them. You want to dry these out. So here, I'm just doing this, unraveling them. Again, the flour and semolina help for it doesn't stick to itself once you unravel them. Like this. You could even do this. Right? So this is your pasta. Okay? This is your pasta. This is what you're working with. Take that flour, make sure you coat them fairly well. I like to use my rolling pin and then like set them out like this, right? If you have the space for it, right? Like this. Or if you have like any other thing that you can hang it on that's clean, just to dry it out. But yeah, look at, this is your pasta. Fresh, no added preservatives. And again, this is just one shape that you can make them, but you can make any shape you want as long as they're all even throughout, okay? But yeah, this is your pasta. Nice and fresh, nice and chewy. And again, during my tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to cook this because fresh pasta always cooks faster than the store-bought pasta. So yeah, this is what it is.